Welcome to Kicking It Local, the podcast all about the football community in South Australia. I'm your host, Johnny Kecko, and today I'm joined by Adelaide City's WNPL coach for 2022. He's coming off finishing second in the league, coming off short in the grand final, also in the cup final to a very, very strong West Adelaide for 2022. I'm joined by Angelo. Paul, thanks for joining me, mate.
No problem. It's good to be here. Second in everything, eh?
Yeah, it is second, but you're a young coach, coaching in a senior competition. It must not be hard. It must not be easy for you to be able to coach in your first year in a strong competition as the WNPL.
Well, yeah, it's obviously 26 years old, super young, and there's a lot of challenges that come with that. But the environment at Adelaide City is like it's really good. So the processes and the structures are already been in place from coaches in the past, and obviously the women's program's been very strong, the men's program's been very, very strong as well. And just with that, I've also got a lot of support from the board and Pez, the men's coach of the senior men's team, and also the girls. They're a bunch of professionals, so a lot of those risks are very much mitigated by the good structure of the club.
Coaching as a senior head coach, normally you look at those coaches and someone like the other coaches you're coaching against, like say Simon Catanzaro, he's played in the NPL for a very long time and also played in interstate. He's coached other clubs as well for a fair period of his career. You're only 26, so for you jumping into that role for the first time in this year, what was that like to take that next step so quickly as a very young coach?
Well, yeah, Simon's obviously a very good coach. I was assisting him at Adelaide United reserves for a bit, and on the recovery sessions, he sometimes joined in, and man, some of the skills and stuff were unbelievable. Like he drilled some players, and yeah, obviously they're very experienced, got good playing backgrounds, but. Yeah, I am only 26, but I actually have been coaching for quite a long time. Obviously not maybe as long as some of these others, but I have been doing it for 7-8 years now. And I've just got a lot of desire and passion towards coaching, and I'll work extremely hard and try and match these more experienced coaches.
I want to talk a little bit more about your time at Adelaide City, but even though you're 26, you've had, just as you mentioned, you've had a long way to get here. It's your first year as senior coaching, but you've had a lot of preparation in the lead up as a JPL coach, and also youth coach Adelaide United and assisting others as well. So heaps to get through, but your time at Adelaide City was only short. You've already decided to finish it up at the end of this year.
Yep.
We'll talk about that a little bit later as well, but in the lead up to all that, let's go all the way back where it all started. A lot of people go and play football and decide to take the career on as a footballer. What made you decide to become a coach instead of the usual footballer first?
Oh, maybe because I wasn't very good. Maybe that was what it was.
That's why I went to podcasting.
So when I was younger, I played a lot more socially. So when I didn't start until I was probably about under 14, something like that. But I enjoyed playing with my friends, and there were a lot of opportunities to go a little bit higher from what the level I was in. And I got a trial once for a team that was going to, I can't remember, it was China, I think, with the youth team of Adelaide United. And I remember I was late by like 30 minutes to the training session. But for me, I didn't have that desire to really push competitively as a player, and I didn't think I was that great either. So. But the competitiveness I have for coaching is completely different, and I've always been a football fanatic. I've always enjoyed it as a spectator, playing or whatever capacity it may be. And then it was, I've told this story before, but it was my school coach when I was in the first 11 at St. Peter's was Joe Mullen, and like super high profile school coach, obviously. And the way he was able to conduct our team, get the best out of players, get the best out of us, I took not what the right word is, but I just sort of gravitated towards that. And then I thought, I want to coach. So started out super young, went to Campbelltown, I think, the first year out of school, and coached the under-11s team. Obviously, I'm going to start somewhere, so that's where I started. I feel sorry for all those under-11s I coached. when I look back on it, I just put my hands in my head in my hands. But yeah, that was sort of the start of the process. And funny enough, the person who was the technical director at Campbelltown at the time was Michael Matriciani. And then only a couple of years ago, I assisted him with the first team Adelaide City. So it was a bit of a funny moment, full circle moment. But yeah, that's sort of where it started.
We were talking about that. So 7 years ago, under 11s, they'll be about 18 now. Are there any of those maybe cut it into the NPL?
I don't know. I can't remember them, to be honest. And hopefully, if they remember me.
Well, hopefully they're listening and they can let us know. That'd be interesting to find out what's happened with those. But after that, you're there for a couple of years. Then you moved to Parrot Hills. A bit of success there with the under 16s there in 2016.
That was a team where, because I was actually coaching under 13s at Campbelltown at the time. Then I moved to Parrot Hills under 16s, sort of halfway through the year because there was something that happened with the coach there, and there was a cup final win with that team, and we ended up finishing second on in the table, and that was like a good taste for me because it was a half-year period and working with some older boys. But at that time, they were under 16 and I would have been 19 or 20. So, yeah, that was they were only 4 years older than me, and it was a good little fun experience.
Then during this period, there's a lot of crossover. So you're doing a lot of coaching at various clubs. So obviously, Adelaide United was 2015. You were the school coach there as well. So
it was like academies.
Yeah,
like
the academies.
Football school stuff. I was just one of the coaches that
so
helped out there.
How did that come about? What gave you the opportunity to go there and start coaching there as well?
Academies. Yeah, so during this period when I was coaching the under 16s, Parrot Hills, that actually happened as a result of this Adelaide United thing. I was sort of throwing myself all into it. So I was coaching at Campbelltown, and then I was doing these football schools things, and they still run. And it was just like I'll just get a group of 12 kids and from wherever and coach them. And how I got into that was through the Sandra and Greg Griffin, who I knew outside of football, and they were looking for coaches to help with that. And I just thought, you know what, I'll do that, no problems. And so then I sort of got into that, and then from that. The person that was running the whole program was the assistant coach of Adelaide United's first team, was a Spanish guy called Jacobo, and he ended up asking me to assist a group of players that came from that football school's academy to go to Spain. And so that was sort of that trip was sort of the first taste of what it would be like to be in a professional sort of setup. We went there and playing teams in the MIC tournament, and yeah, and then from there I sort of got the invite to go to Adelaide United Reserves as an assistant coach.
What was the experience like for you to be a part of that and be able to coach around that environment of a professional club, but helping out in that area?
I guess when I went to Spain, I kind of laughed because, like, I was there as a coach.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was more there as like a kid still. Like I was relating more to the players because they were having this moment where they're, you know, in hotels, eating all together as a team, or always as a team together, traveling to pitches, and it just felt like a kind of a professional, what it would be like to be a professional player or a professional coach. But yeah, I was sort of like a kid in a candy store at that trip. Probably wasn't a great assistant coach, to be perfectly honest with you, but yeah, it was a great experience.
How old were you at the time? Because they were only young as well, so. They're only under 16. I would have been
21 then.
Yeah, so only 4 or 5 years apart.
20, I think, actually. Yeah, so, and it was after that, it's how I forged the connections at Parrot Hills to then go to do that job halfway through. So that's sort of what started it from there.
There's a lot of intertwining between this with your career. Is there the networking part? Is that obviously a strong part of you getting through with all these opportunities?
Maybe at the time I thought it would be good to cozy up to the Spanish guy, but I don't know, I haven't intentionally tried to think, I'll network with this person, network with that one. It's just, Adelaide's a pretty small place, so over the journey you end up meeting a lot of people and getting to know them, becoming friendly with them, and I guess that's sort of how the network starts. You
had more experiences there as well. The reserves assistant coach, obviously, there as well. What was that like? That was under Simon Catanzaro back then?
It was Cata at the start, and then it ended up being Paul Pezos. But I remember it was when I first got asked to do it, I was like ecstatic, like, and I thought to myself, it was around this time where I convinced myself that I do want to coach as high as I can go and try and go professional. And I knew at that time I was super young, and still am, but I knew it'd be a long journey. But that was a good start, like, to get into that sort of environment. And yeah, under Simon and under Pez, and they're two great coaches, and that was really where my learning started to accelerate.
Yeah.
Where I started to become a sponge and take it more seriously and really start to absorb not as much knowledge as I can and develop. And yeah.
Under those two coaches, obviously Paul Pezos, a successful coach this year for Adelaide City, and also you had the Simon Catanzaro, another successful coach with Salisbury Inter in 2021, won the treble. What did you learn from them that you think was invaluable to you now as a coach?
I think, well, I was starting to learn the base of coaching at that sort of level, which is got a lot to do with how you structure your sessions and quite basic things that it sounds basic when you say them, but at that time, that's where my learning was at. And I think it was really good to work with them because you develop your foundation, and yeah, just starting to pick their brains about how they see the game, and just really observing what they do and how they get the best out of players and how they interact with players, and coach them on match day, coach them at training. It was sort of like a big influx of knowledge, and yeah, that's sort of how I look back at that time.
Being around that environment at Adelaide United, was there anything different about being there compared to the local clubs? Because I know the roles, obviously, being in reserves and the youth team is not really as similar as the senior teams, but Adelaide United is seen as a professional club. Did you see anything different there compared to what the local clubs are doing?
I think obviously the difference is the mindset of the players and everybody that's around in the organisation. So, you know, Pez and Kata, that they've got a job to do, and their job is to try and develop these players to play for the first team. And the mindset of the players is all the same. They want to eventually get first team contracts. So I guess that the feeling in that sense is a little bit different. Obviously, when you work at local clubs, you know, you've got players with full-time jobs, and you've still got some young ambitious players that want to go as far as they can, but it's just a bit of a different feeling. I think it was the first time we had the reserves team at Adelaide United, first ever year, and it was like starting that sort of identity. It lacked a bit of, I guess, feeling to it because it was the first year. It was an exciting year, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, the club, when you go back to a local club, it's got a real local club feel to it and a more family feel to it. But that's the difference of a sort of a professional elite pathway and a local club.
After that, you ended up going to Adelaide City. Was there any link there for family-wise, or is it a club you supported in the past, or was it just the right move for you?
Not really. It was I spent a number of years at Adelaide United, and then obviously Adrian Stenta ended up taking over the reserves. I spent another year with assisting the reserves with him, and then I started working with Pez with the youth team and the NPL and NYL team, doing a lot of analysis work and just assisting him as much as I can. Then the opportunity came up at Adelaide City. It got to the point where I wanted to coach my own team. I'd spent maybe, I can't remember exactly how long, but probably 3 years at Adelaide United in that environment. By this stage, I was getting to about 23 years old, 24, probably that sort of range. More 23, actually. And Adriano Pellegrino was the technical director at Adelaide City. And I just ended up making connection with him, and the job was available, and he hired me. So it was as simple as that. So then I ended up going coaching under 18s at Adelaide City and had a good year with them.
You've been an assistant at Adelaide City as well?
So I did under 18s with Adelaide City for 1 year. Then I assisted Michael Matriciani the following year, which was 2020, and then 2021 with Pez at Adelaide City. Then
the opportunity came for you to coach WNPL. Mm-hmm. What was that like? Because you never coached women's football in the lead up to this. So what was the reason for you getting offered or going for this role?
So again, after coaching under 18s, I stepped into another assistant role. So I had my own team for a year, and then spent another couple of years for as an assistant, and then it was like maybe now it's the time to coach my own team again. But to be honest, I wasn't really thinking of what my next step was at the time. It was just the club asked me to do it, and I was like, okay. I wasn't expecting it, and I just had a think about it, and I was like, yeah, it's actually quite a good move. And I really didn't know much about the women's game at all. I'd never been involved with it. There was I remember at Prez's, after we won the grand final with the men's in 2021 with Pez, by that stage, I knew I was going to be coaching the women's team the following year. A bunch of the girls from the team ended up being at the celebrations, and it was we were celebrating, so I had a few drinks and obviously celebrating with the boys, and then all of a sudden some of the girls start to rock up that I'll be coaching next year, and I was not in my best, how do I put it, my best frame, I guess, I don't know. And Nick Hadji, who was the high performance coach at Adelaide City under Pezos, he introduced a play and he said, "Do you know who this is? You'll be coaching her next year." And I had no idea. He goes, "Oh, this is Isabel Hodgson." And I'm like, "Oh, sorry, Izzy, how are you?" So the first day didn't get off to the greatest start,
but you got there in the end.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope Izzy's forgiven me.
So that's how it all panned out. But what was it like for you? Were you nervous about it, or were you excited about the new challenge?
I wouldn't say I was nervous. I was definitely excited. And as soon as I knew I got the job and we had finished the season, I started to plan as much as I could. And when I approach these sort of jobs, I give everything to it. So I was planning, what our budgets were going to be, and what players we were looking at to sign, and what direction we want to go in, and looking at the history of the team. And yeah, so I just it wasn't really nervousness. I just sort of threw myself into it.
And then this is the first time you've been in a senior setup. What was some of the challenges you saw that you didn't really have in the, didn't experience as much?
More of an assistant.
An assistant and younger.
Well, obviously all eyes are on you now. All of a sudden, the pressure's now on you. You're the one that's making decisions. You're the one that can be scrutinised for the decisions you make, which I welcome. That's part of the job. Whenever you're trying to learn and develop and grow, you need to throw yourself out of your comfort zone. So it would have been easy for me to stay with Pez and assist another year, and they won the treble, and I could look back and go, "Oh, that was a successful year." But I wanted to put myself in a position to get better, and so then in that frame of mind, it was a no-brainer to step into this team. And I didn't feel too much of the pressure, to be honest. I knew if I stuck to what I believed in and what I'd been learning and trying to implement that, we'll end up with good outcomes. And we finished second and everything. So
you did finish second. What was that feeling like? Because it's never easy finishing second, but you finished second in the cup final against West Adelaide. Mm-hmm. You finished second to them, who finished top was West Adelaide, and then also in the grand final, you just come short, 1-0 loss. You could have won there in the grand final, but unfortunately, it wasn't your day. What was that like to finish second in all those competitions?
Well, when I look back at the start, I knew that we were going to have a younger team. I knew that, and I knew it was going to be part of a process and over the season to grow the team. So, in that regards, it still sucks to finish second in everything. I look back and think we had quite a successful season. We have to give credit to West Adelaide because they were the best team all year. They lost one game in the whole season. That was the first game of the year. So credit to them. I think they deserved it. But we had some struggles along the way. We a number of senior players. We just some random things happened, and we lost them for a lot of time. So that was difficult. It seemed like we were changing the lineups every single week, and we relied heavily on a lot of young girls, which was, it's a positive as well because they got some experience and they improved, and those girls there are the future of the club. So any experience for them is a good thing. So in terms of that was quite a success. And then we get to the cup final, and I thought that we were the second best team on the night, and West Adelaide deserved the win, which they got. And then just recently in the grand final was the first time we started to build a bit of consistency with players. We sort of had majority of our players back, and I thought we were outstanding in that grand final. I thought we played really well. I thought we controlled the tempo. I thought we controlled the counterattacks of them for the most part. I thought we created plenty of chances. It just wasn't our day,
Yeah, you did, and you did create a lot of chances. It could have gone either way that night, and West Adelaide were lucky enough to get the treble. They had a very good year as a club, West Adelaide, but you're doing that for the first year. What were your expectations as for yourself and also as a club in that first year as a senior women's coach and first year at West Adelaide, Adelaide City's WNPL side? What were the expectations going into the year? Was it ever to finish second?
The club, yeah, the club never put expectations on me, as in like we need you to finish first or whatever it is. My expectations on myself is I wanted to 100% win all the trophies. You know, that's what my goal was. And on a side note is, can we develop young players, and can we have a good journey of developing these players and see improvement in them. So in terms of my own expectation, I'm always going to put hefty expectations on, and I'm disappointed we didn't win anything this year. But having said that, I still thought we had quite a successful season.
You certainly did, and obviously Paul Pezos, you've worked with him at Adelaide City, Adelaide United. You're assistant at Adelaide City as well.
It's been 5 years with him.
Yeah, so you obviously would have had a close connection with him. Did he help you? Because I saw him at both this grand final, and also he sat on the bench for a half of the cup final as well with you. Has he been there alongside you as a little bit of a mentor?
Yeah, that's exactly what he is. He's a mentor. So any issues I have or any problems I have, I go and speak with him, and he sort of guides me. And this is exactly the same this year. He's an open book. So you want to ask anything or any help, he'll give you a good answer, and he gives you everything when he gives it to you as well. So you're his full attention. So I couldn't ask for a better mentor than him.
Well, you couldn't, especially his success at Adelaide City as well. What's some of the advice he's given you as a coach that is invaluable?
I think stick to your values, and the advice he gives me, you can see he implements himself. So he doesn't stray for what his beliefs are and what his values are, and he sticks to the process. And there's time. We lost a game during the year against Comets. It was 8-2.
Yeah.
So it was not a good game. We had a number of girls out with sickness, and the training was so disorientated. We had a bit of a flu outbreak in the team. And after a game like that, you know, I remember that weekend you sort of start to doubt a little bit what you're doing, and is this the right pathway we're trying to take? Yeah. And even in the middle of the game, you know, I want to be a team that is front foot, that's going to press aggressively, that wants to retain the ball and play through the lines. But at halftime it was 6-1, and I remember I was like, nah, I'm not going to try and stray away from the way that I believe we should play and go away from that process, because they're all building blocks into what you're trying to ultimately achieve by the end of the year, and that's sort of instilled into me by him.
Have you ever got intentions to work with him again in the future, or is it?
Getting a bit sick of him, to be honest. Nah, he's I would always work with him.
Yeah.
If I'm not coaching a team or he needs someone to help, I'll always be there. Again, it's another opportunity for me to keep learning, because every time I'm with him, I learn something new. So yeah, of course.
What's he like as a person? Because he looks like a very tough coach to be around, and always when he's in the moment, he's always very focused on the game and all that. But what's he like outside of the game? Is he?
Nah, the same.
Ruthless.
Ruthless.
Yeah.
Nah, he's once you get to know him and you become friends with him, and he's obviously far softer, and it's just a persona, and he has a good connection with a lot of the players as well, and they also see that side of him. He's just a good person. He really is. Did
you get to celebrate with him this year as well, with when they won the treble and also the grand final that night? Yeah.
I scheduled a training session with my girls for 8:30 a.m. Saturday morning, and the grand final win was the night before the Friday night. So I was with the team, and we had a good night. And I think I was at Oakden till about 3 a.m. or 3:30 in the morning, and then had to go back to Oakden at 7:30 to prepare the final stage of the training session. So I wasn't in the best shape, but yeah, we had a good night.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you would have as well, because I was there when I've interviewed Pezos a few times this season for the broadcast.
You're going to talk about the...
Yeah, so that moment there, I saw him crack for a moment where he was smiling, he was happy. He let his emotion out, which was fantastic to see. And then when the Gatorade got poured over him,
Back to
and you could see he was ready, eyeing out Joey Costa and Booker as well.
Well, didn't he say to you, "I'll get him back"?
I'll get him back. He did say that. Has he got him back yet?
Not yet, but that's scarier. It means he's done a lot of planning. So
yeah, do you reckon he'll get him back?
yeah, oh yeah, they're in trouble, 100%.
Yeah. Hey, it was great. It was great to see though.
Yeah. Oh, it was brave by Joey, and I can't remember was it Buko?
Yeah, it was Booker. Yeah.
Yeah, brave of them to do that, but
Yeah.
they'll get what's coming.
Yeah, I love it. That's what I love about Pezos as well, because I think he will get him back, and it'll be even better, hopefully. Hope we can catch it. But that just shows what a character he is. He's very good, and I think he's got good things coming for him as well in future with coaching.
I hope so. He deserves an opportunity. The guy has been dominating these leagues for years now, and he's very, very much focused on his own improvement as well, how he can improve his coaching. He doesn't rest on his laurels. He just looking for every way to improve, how to be more professional. So it's only a matter of time. It has to be.
And with that kind of thing, to progress into the professional area, you've been in coaching for close to 8 years or something now.
About then.
Yeah,
a bit longer.
Yeah, so almost 10 years you've been coaching across the juniors, and now finally made your way to seniors. How hard is it to progress? Does it kind of feel very hard and impossible to get into the A-League, or is there some kind of hope there? Because there's only like 10 professional jobs or 12 in the A-League.
It's highly competitive, yeah, and a lot of times it's about who you know. Like, that's just the reality of it. If you know people and there's a position that opens up, it gives you more of a chance to get somewhere. I eventually want to coach at the highest level I can. Hopefully an A-League opportunity one day presents itself. But yeah, it is something that's difficult, and obviously, you know, for someone like myself or even Pez, who has ambition to go to that level, it can be like a bit demoralizing. You know, I'm sure for him, there's been countless opportunities that he's missed out on. And if it came to coaching ability alone, you know, he would definitely have a job by now. So I think you just got to keep believing what you're doing, stay positive, and keep improving, and then eventually the good things will happen to you.
Yeah, we look at Damien Murray as well, been a great coach for so long as well, and finally gets his break as an assistant.
That's it. Now he's in, and now it's up to him to see what happens from here on out. And if he's got the ambition to continue in that field, then just work as hard as he can to keep going.
It's so good to see, and that's another Adelaide City coach here as well that's managed to go on. And with you going into women's football, is that something you want to see for the long term, being part of the women's game? Or?
Myself personally?
Yeah, yourself personally, as a coach? Because obviously it's different. As a coach, it would be different to coaching women's to
very
men's.
different, of course.
So is that something you see for future, or is it just temporary?
It's hard to tell. I personally see myself long-term coaching in the men's game, but that doesn't mean I'll discount, you know, coaching in women's environments in the future. I loved this year I had with the girls in the team. It was amazing, and for that to be my first senior job, like, I couldn't have asked for anything more from the players and the staff and the club. And yeah, and you never know. Now that I've coached a women's team, obviously, like you said, it's very different. I've experienced that. Made a million mistakes, so apologies to my girls for every mistake I made, because there would have been plenty. But yeah, maybe there might be opportunities down the line somewhere in the women's game. But to be honest, I don't really know what the future holds. So,
well, some of you in your squad, you had some some current Adelaide United women's players as well. What was it like to coach players like that? Because in the men's NPL, you get players that are future A-League players or former A-League players that come
not really in the middle.
Yeah, so you got current ones that are playing in the off season. So what was that like to be able to coach them?
Yeah, it was pretty cool, to be honest. Like, when you look at the team and you see that we had 4 games of Matilda McNamara, who's in the middle of the year played for the Matildas, and then obviously got a contract professionally in Europe. And then Dylan Holmes, who had to come back from a really, really unfortunate and weird sort of injury. She had a 7-centimeter blood clot in her calf, which kept her out for ages. So, and that's someone who's represented the Matildas and in the Adelaide United setup, a very important part. And then obviously Isabel Hodgson, who's the captain. It's pretty cool. It was, but the good thing was the character of those 3 girls was incredible. Like, yes, in terms of status, maybe, a first year coach, and they're very experienced, but they gave everything. So I'm very, very thankful to them.
Yeah, and it's great to see as well those players playing in the WNPL. Do you think when we get to it, do you reckon it's great to have them now? But the only reason we've got them playing in these leagues is because we don't have a professional, like a full-time professional setup in the women's A League. So, do you think we'll ever get there with your short period in?
I think so. I think it's on the way. I think they're taking some steps in the next 2 years, from what I've heard, to improve the length of the campaign and the quality of it. So I think so. I think that it might be the last, maybe year or two, you might see these players at that level in this league, which I think is probably a good thing, to be honest, and gives them more opportunity to play here in Australia for longer periods of time, and then it gives younger girls the opportunity to step up in our local league to show what they can do, and maybe there's a pathway there for them to go into these Adelaide United teams. We had 2 this year with Zoe Tolland and Katie Bowler. So
hopefully, hopefully you can make your way into the National League as well.
Maybe we'll see.
But you're 26 years old. What's your ambitions as a coach? Because you're very young. Because normally we talk to coaches maybe in 10 years' time from now, at your age. But what's your ambitions as a coach? You just want to keep going as far as you can?
Yeah, as far as I can. Put myself in good environments, number one, with good people. That's really, really important. That's what I've experienced at Adelaide City and Adelaide United. So making sure I put myself in good environments and continue to learn, continue to develop, so that when I can hopefully climb and get to a high level, I'm ready for it.
Yeah. The professional full-time, is that what you want to go for? Because what's your outside work that you do as well?
I work at a law firm, working on some sports related law cases, which I don't think I can go into detail on that because it's confidential stuff.
No, I don't have to go.
That's sort of an outline of what I do. But that's a job, and I enjoy it. But my aim is 100% to be a professional coach full-time and live that life. What's
it like juggling that kind of full-on work and coaching?
It's very difficult because I'm full-time, and when you coach, when I coach, you just give so much to it. Like, all my free time is going to plan and analyze and work out what the best solutions are for the problems that I have, football problems, and I can't just go in like half-assed, if that makes sense. So it is difficult because you give so much, and you got to try and balance everything else, which with family and your social life, and it's the same with all the coaches in the local league. You train in the afternoons 3, sometimes 4 times a week, and you get to work at like 8:30 in the morning, and you're getting home at like 8:30, 9 p.m. And they're long. It's long days, but you got to sacrifice if you want to do this. So I'm happy to do it.
So 2022 has been a big year for you as a coach. I want to talk a little bit more about your time at Adelaide City, because first year as a coach, finishing second on the ladder is huge, and then just coming short in the cup and the grand final is another big step for you, especially in your first year. To be able to do that in year one as a senior coach, not only first year at the club, is massive. Off air, you've mentioned that your next step is not clear just yet, but what is your next step for as a coach? Yeah,
so I've decided to step away from coaching the Adelaide City girls next year. I think for me, it was a good, really, really good first year. I took a lot away from it. I loved it. But I need to go and consolidate learning, and I need to develop more as a coach, and I think that stepping away at the moment is the best option for me. And I'm stepping away without another job in line or anything like that. Like, I've got no plans of what I'm going to do next season, but I just know I need to improve more in a lot of aspects and consolidate what I've learned and what I've done at the club. So that's sort of the decision I've made. And it's a sad one because it's a great environment. It's a really good club, and it's an amazing team. So But yeah, I think that's sort of what I believe is best for me.
Do you reckon there's still another senior year, senior footballing coaching career in line? Like not in line yet, but is that you want to go back to doing that again?
Eventually, yeah. But
or do you want to go back a little bit and just continue going as a assistant or a reserves coach for a little bit longer?
Eventually, obviously, is the aim, of course. But just for the period. The other thing is I'm taking a bit of a break now after the grand final. Just sort of stop thinking about football for a while and take some time away, because I think it's really, really important to refresh and just reassess. But yeah, so like I said, I don't know what the next step is, but I know what the long-term goal is.
Yeah. What is the long-term goal? Is it obviously professional football, professional coach?
Yeah, of course. That's what I want to do, yeah.
Any club in mind, or you just like...
Yeah, Liverpool's first team. Yeah, that'll be amazing. But just I'm going to go on the journey and learn, improve and develop and just see what happens. Yeah,
nice. Well, hopefully you'll get there, because if your first year is anything to go by, as a young coach, only 26, to do what you've done in year one in a WNPL team as well. So top women's team and a club like Adelaide City it's actually a credit to what you've been able to do as a coach.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And it was great to watch as well. Hopefully next time you come back you can get the treble.
Maybe I have some trophies to bring. I don't know.
Well, at least you got
these silver medals.
Yeah, well, you got the treble in that's coming second, so
thanks, man. Appreciate that.
But we'll go into the fun stuff now to end it all off. I love doing the kicking it questions to finish it all off in this podcast.
Yep.
Who would you love to kick it with on the football park? Anyone in the world?
For some reason, I really liked this player when I was younger. He played for Arsenal, Andre Arshavin. Do you remember him? Scored 4 goals against Liverpool. That was just randomly. I enjoyed watching him play, but it would have to be. It's obviously Messi. There's no other answer than Messi. It has to be him.
Messi would be incredible to kick.
The guy's the best passer, the best finisher, and the best dribbler in history.
Yeah,
at all 3.
Yep.
He's one person, best at all 3. So, yeah, he's him, definitely.
Well, as you're a coach, would you want to coach him, or would you love to just kick it with him?
Yeah, coach him. He just stays and does whatever he wants, and then the rest of the players will defend and give him the ball. It'd be easy.
Yeah, that'll be a good job. But who would you love to kick it with on a Saturday night, watch some football, have some drinks? I'm sure the Adelaide City boys or the girls as well.
Watching a game. Maybe Jurgen Klopp.
Yep.
You know, just some insight into he gets his players to run through brick walls and talk about the psychology of how he does it and what makes him so motivating and why people gravitate towards him so much. Let's go him.
Yeah, that's been a popular
Is it?
A popular one. Yeah, it has been.
There you go.
There you go.
Sorry for the boring answer.
No, that's good. And now let's go locally. Someone that's international. Who would you love locally?
Oh, locally
as well. So 2. You can have 2 in this one.
Locally.
Who would you love? Bucco or
Bucco? No, not Bucco. I'm trying to think of someone that I don't really know too well. Okay. Maybe in the league somewhere.
We didn't know Izzy Hodgins.
I know her now. Let's go with Barney Smith.
Barney Smith.
Yeah, let's go with Barney.
He would be very interesting.
I know him a little bit. I'm doing my license with him at the moment, and
okay.
I enjoyed talking to him. So yeah, he'd be good.
He would be very interesting to chat to. I've obviously spoken to him.
Oh, I've had him. Oh, that's right. Was it the start of this year?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's right. Oops.
So I've had him on the show, and he's told me some incredible stories about his time. Spitting spitballs with in the back of the bus with Kevin Muscat.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep, doing some penalty shots with Viduka as well.
Oh, so there you go. I could listen to them when we're kicking it. Watching the Premier League at night.
There you go. You can talk about that. He will talk for days. Barney, he's always got so many good stories to share as well. So there you go. Some good ones. So Klopp and Barney.
Yeah, Klopp and Barney. Yeah, that's it.
2 of the best coaches in the world.
2 of the best in the world? Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Barney's good. Mate, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and you're only 26, and what you've done so far in your coaching career, it's exciting to see what could happen in the next 10, 20 years as a coach. Hopefully we can see you go on further.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That is senior head coach in the WNPL for 2022, Angelo Paul. Make sure you subscribe to Kicking It Local wherever you get your podcasts so you can get a taste of the SA football community. Plus, follow at Kicking It Local SA on Instagram and Twitter so you don't miss any of the action. See you soon!